towards the need. People come to you to ask you for money. Some of them, they can work. People walk up to me and so, you know, sometimes people say, but that vagrant just asked you for money and you refuse. What kind of man are you? Of course I would refuse. He looks strong, he looks healthy, and so therefore I believe everybody has a right and an opportunity to work. And sometimes I would say, listen, I remember pulling into the gas station one day. Gentleman comes up to ask me for money. I says, listen, why don't you just wipe my windscreen and I'll give you $20 to wipe my windscreen. He said, I didn't ask you for work.
Okay, I asked you for money.
That's right. So, I'm not going to give him $20. I wanted a trade-off. You wipe my windscreen. I didn't need my windscreen to wipe, but I need you to be able to recognize that you work for what you get.
Because I work for what I get.
Of course, I work hard for what I get.
I told a gentleman once, and this is a story I've told on camera before, but I think it's worth repeating. There's this gentleman who stands, and I use the word gentleman because he is a gentleman who stands in St. James leading into Federation Park very regularly. And every morning, because it's Allison passing, if I get the red light, I have to stop, and he knocks on my window and he waves at me and I say, hello, how are you? And then invariably. So one morning, I mean, this is like, I rolled down the window and I said, what is it? And he said, give me some money. And I said, why? You're a strong man. Exactly that. You're a strong man, you can work. And he said, why? Do you know how much money I make here?
Of course.
I swear on my life, that's what he said.
Yeah.
You know how much money I make here?
Exactly.
In other words, this is his job, to knock on people's windows and accept the money from them.
He has sent you to work. So you have gone to work, so now you need to come and pay him.
Yeah.
So you go out, you make the money, you sweat for it and so on. I will be waiting here for you at the traffic light. And when you come, you pay me my salary.
Well, I know he gets from me a beautiful smile and a lovely wave.
Yeah.
And no. No. But every time I see him, I remember. But, you know, people who, again, and we're talking about the people who are always looking to borrow. Michael, this starts sometimes from a very early age.
Yes.
You know, even if it is you're at school, there's some children, I always remember that there were children at school who, for whatever reason, and it wasn't that they didn't have, because the school would have been children from, I'm talking about, children from all of the same income group. So everybody had virtually the same amount, families had the same amount. And yet there were some children there who always trying to borrow money.
Yes, always.
Yeah.
Always.
So it's a bad habit you get into,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes. Even with things to eat, sometimes somebody has just a pack of biscuit for lunch. Somebody else would have eaten lunch, you know, and see you open that pack of biscuit. What do you have there? Give me a piece of that. They're not hungry, and this is a person's only meal, and they must borrow. Must have a teeth. They must have a teeth. I'm saying that we need to learn to have a certain amount of tolerance, discipline, and a reservation. And learning to say no thank you is part of that human value system that we need to develop.
So we are trying to deal with two situations today. We're going to open up our telephone lines in a little while. Two situations, and here are they. Here are the two. One is to try and get people who are constant borrowers out of the habit.
Yes.
So if you know, if you know that you're looking on at us right now and listening to us, and you just can't stop borrowing for whatever reason, maybe it's some form of problem you have, gambling addiction, or trying to keep two households going, living to an image, whatever.
To people who don't even like you anyway.
Yes. You ring Michael and he might be able to advise you how to stop this gimme, lend me syndrome. And if you're someone who can't stop being generous with your hard-earned money and being bitten all the time, you could also call and share your stories. I want to hear some stories today of people who lend and people who have loaned, and people who borrow, and people who are now buried because of what people have borrowed. Because some people have found themselves in financial difficulties because they loaned other people money.
Yes, that's right. So you have discommoded yourself, and that person sometimes reneges on their own commitment, and you have to fill that void. And once you end up in that situation, is the relationship really worth it in the end? And you know, one of the other things is that whenever somebody borrows from you, somehow or the other they start to avoid you. They pass you on the road, they play, they don't see you. They develop an attitude. And that is because they know I owe this person money 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and they have not paid since then. So therefore, they try to avoid it. They know they are very conscious of the fact that they have money for you and avoid you.
And Michael, it works in another way too. That sometimes if someone has money for you, I don't know about you, Michael, I feel so ashamed for that person. I am feeling shame for that person who owes me money, you know. That when I see them, I turn away and I don't want to face them because I don't want, I just feel...
Well, that's the opposite. There's another set that will borrow from you and they have no shame. They will sit down with you, come and laugh, talk and so on, and never even say, well, you know, I had some little difficulties to pay you back and so on, and just give me another week again. They have no shame at all about that. How you going and so on. Yeah. Life goes on and
Partner,
so on.
you're all right.
Yeah, and they're brave enough to come and ask for more. Yeah.
And also, I think because we're not trying to tell people not, you know, if you know somebody's in need, Michael, it's very difficult sometimes. I remember once someone coming and telling me that they needed money for medication. They needed to have a prescription filled and gave me the, now I know, long story. And I said to them, okay, all right, I'll help, but come, let's go in my car, let's go to the pharmacy, and whatever it is you need, I'll pay for it. And all of a sudden, he didn't need it anymore.
Didn't need it again.
And I realized, of course, that he never really needed any medication.
Exactly.
It was just a way of getting cash.
And they pull on your emotion because of that. A gentleman came to me and he said his wife is just out of the hospital. He needs to get some milk because she's not producing milk and so on, and thing and so busy and so on. I went ahead and I gave him. So I know his face and I know somebody who may have been related to him. So I asked his brother. I said to his brother, I said, I saw your brother up the road. He said his wife come out. He said, wife? He had no wife. So I said, oh, you see, there are some people just like that, just like that, and they pull on the emotion because you know. But if you give somebody who is genuinely in need, God blesses the person who gives under that circumstance, who gives in a situation. So most times, if I'm going to give, I'm giving to somebody who I know cannot pay me back at all. Your blessing is assured with that. God doesn't really give you any additional blessing to give somebody who can give you back, because you really haven't done much, because the person can't give you back anyway. But when you bless somebody who cannot or may not ever be able to give you back, your blessing is assured with that.
Okay. And what does that do? Oh, here are the telephone numbers up on the screen: 675-8747, 675-8747, or 8749. It's Friday and it's a day when we're relaxing a bit, and Michael is giving us some motivation here. But if you have any conman stories you want to share with us, if you have any situations you've been through, please share it with us, because I think it would help others who may fall in to the same trap of being caught. All right. Well, why don't you phone in that question? I'm getting, all right, my assistant is too shy to have her voice heard on the phone. She said, I hope it's not personal, she said that what happens when you give somebody, you lend somebody money, you give them a payment plan, and they're not sticking to the payment plan. That's your question? Yeah. What you recommend you do? Okay.
Many times the person who doesn't stick to the payment plan, the closer they are to you, is the more they will not stick to the payment plan. So lending a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, you know, some husband and wife feel that you shouldn't, hey, it's my husband and wife and so on. But if you make it, say, listen, lend me so and so, and the husband or the wife contributed and say, listen here, they would expect that you would pay them back. But many times people begin to break down the relationship because both of us are friends. It's my wife, it's my girlfriend, it's my boyfriend, and then that it breaks down there. When the person not sticking to the payment plan, there's there's not much you could do with it, and that is why you should really check it out first before you get into it. Because even legally, they will have an issue as to whether there was a legal relationship in the transaction, because you may have had a family type of relationship, an informal relationship, and so therefore it becomes a more difficult thing to be able to act legally to be able to recover. So therefore, if you really need to lend the person, convert it into a legal transaction.
Okay.
Have something documented, go to a lawyer and say, listen, I'm lending my boyfriend so much money, and he expects to pay me back at such and such a period, at such and such a rate. Convert that into a legal relationship.
And if the person, either boyfriend or girlfriend, whomsoever you're lending the money to, doesn't want to go through that legal situation, then the answer is no.
Sorry, see you in Texas.
Okay.
Bye.
The answer is no. We have a caller from Five Rivers. Hello. Hello, caller from Five Rivers.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
Yes.
I lent a senior citizen some money.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes, $100. The person gave me the assurance that they had some produce to sell and they was going to return the money. They did sell the produce, but they forgot to come back and repay me the money.
Yes.
So when I saw the person, I asked the person, well, why didn't you come and pay me back the money? Because that was my day's earning. The person said, the person started to make excuses, so I got real vexed. So, and the person said they was going to, I said, well, just how you give me the assurance that you're going to give me back the money, you should really come and give me the money, because he did get the produce sold, and then he forget everything about me.
Yeah. And what has this done for you? I mean, how many years ago was that? Hello?
No, that was just recently, a few weeks ago.
Okay. No, the reason I'm asking how long ago it happened is because, unfortunately, as we talk here about motivation, sometimes you then have to motivate yourself to put it behind you, because it's something that could just aggravate you and annoy you, and the next thing you know, you're beginning to look old and miserable.
Some of those bridges that you got to burn. There are some debts you have to write off as bad debts.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it back. You need to just write it off.
Burn the bridge.
Yes, burn that bridge and move on.
Yeah.
Because there are some people, they would pay you back almost all, and then stop. And because it's a small amount, they want you to feel guilty in having to call them for that small amount. Oh gosh, look how much money you make. It $100 you're harassing me for.
Yeah.
So you now have to bear the guilt of lending them money, because they think that you are becoming mean in wanting back your money.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that it's people, human beings, I suppose it is within human nature, to twist things in your direction. You know, you always look, what they say, looking at life through blinkers, and you're seeing it your way and never sort of looking at the other person's point of view. I just want to tell everybody before we go on, the telephone numbers up on the screen. If you do get through to us, could you please go and turn off the volume on your television set? In fact, as soon as you get through to Corinne, she'll probably instruct you to do that, because otherwise we get a feedback, and when the feedback takes place, then that's why you hear people sometimes, Michael, if I could explain it to the public, maybe they'll realize what they're doing. When you're talking to us and you have your television set on, you keep hearing it reverbing, delay. You hear the delay, and therefore they get confused and they can't talk properly. So turn off your volume on your TV once you get through to us, okay? And continue bringing in the stories. That poor lady, I feel sorry for her with her $100, because it was probably $100 that she needed.
Yes,
you know?
And that goes to show the attitude someone comes with to beg. Oh gosh, I have this.